Yes, basically we're going to ask that the district either have an insurance policy or that they will write this into our contract that if we're assaulted or hurt or injured in some way in the line of duty, that they will pick up the full medical cost, whatever our insurance does not pay. And also, we don't feel that these days that we're out of school because of an injury should come from our sick leave that we accumulate. And also, too, you see, this year, getting everybody on step, the teachers on maximum did not receive an adjustment at all. And with the retroactive pay, the teachers on maximum will receive nothing. And so this proposal that we're asking for will reward these career teachers.
6 women's organizations say they will not be put off with empty rhetoric by members of the State Democratic Executive Committee. The women held a special news conference in Fort Worth today objecting to the rules passed for delegate selection by the Rules Executive Subcommittee. The women say the rules keeps the power firmly at the top of the party structure. The women say they are expected to keep quiet and that blacks and Chicanos have been told that conventions are white folks' business.
The rules adopted last Saturday make a polite gesture in the direction of participation, then tighten the grasp of the bosses on the machinery. They have to do better than that. All groups who have not been represented as delegates at any level past the precinct convention be given an opportunity to be chosen as delegates by their participation in the natural process. And this seems to this will only come about, we feel, if it is spelled out in the Democratic rules exactly how this must be done.
2 women said they were appalled by the treatment given women at the Austin meeting last week, calling it a disgrace to the party. Governor Smith and Lieutenant Governor Ben Barnes have both supposedly asked that the full executive committee strike down the rules adopted last week by the subcommittee. This would open the way for party insiders' power to be diminished, allowing more newcomers a greater voice in delegate selection, a voice that women feel they should have. Jim Green, Channel 8 News on the Move in Fort Worth.
Well, I think he's a long shot, but I think any time that you pick a player that's 6'1 1/2", 225, that has great speed, I think you're betting on a good long shot.
What about the injury problem that he has had?
Oh, he hasn't been hurt this year. He was hurt last year. He had a shoulder injury that hasn't bothered him at all this year, so I don't think that there's anything wrong with him injury-wise.
Was this one that you perhaps had rated a lot higher than others?
Well, I think we must have. Obviously, 25 other people passed him. I was confident all along that he'd be our first choice. As far as 2 months ago, said that he would be our #1 choice. So I'm real pleased with Bill Thomas.
Well, I think this is the best that we've ever had as far as our list is concerned. Now, if we put them up in the order right, then we've got more players this year, earlier than we've ever had before. And I think a lot has to do with the number of choices we have. You know, we have a double choice 2 and double choice 3 and 3 on 4.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic that you get 9 choices in the first 4 rounds.
Well, it really is, and it's essential in this draft that you had them early. If you didn't have them early, you wouldn't get anything. So right now, it's by the time you pass the 4th round, you've got a lot of trouble now picking anybody out.
primary purpose is the sustaining of high standards of truth and accuracy in advertising in this Dallas metropolitan area, and in the development of voluntary programs in support of maintaining those high standards.
Dallas Board is the first of such to be set up in the United States. You're taking quite a lead in this area, and you're to be commended on it.
What's wrong with advertising today?
Well, having been in advertising for 30 years, I'm not about to admit there's anything wrong with advertising. Advertising is fine. There are some abuses in it, however, which are magnified far out of context, and that in the great majority of good, honest advertisers suffer because of the misdeeds of a very small minority.
After weighing the alternatives, my family and I concluded that we would like the privilege of serving the people of Dallas County in Congress. It is there that decisions will be made that are so vital to our area and that will dramatically determine the future course of our nation. An honorable peace in Vietnam with the prompt return of the POWs, the maintenance of a strong national defense, local control of our schools, and a stabilization of an inflationary economy. I want to be a part of these decisions. There's something more to being a congressman than just...
You're 20 years old. Do you think that will help you or hurt you?
Well, I think it'll help me. I feel that it's definitely, my age is an advantage to my position right now. I'm running for school board to bring community unity in Arlington, and I feel that definitely it's an advantage that now, since the younger generation has the right to vote, that they should have the right for representation on the school board.
It means that we'll get a greater percentage of the potential hijackers. Or if the potential hijacker knows that he's going to be screened, I think he will just retreat from that gate that has a magnetometer. Now, since the FAA wants all gates to have magnetometers, it's going to be a great deterrent.
It's always, of course, a great strain on the captain of an aircraft knowing that he might be hijacked, and the requirement must take a lot of that strain off.
Oh, it certainly does. You take a flight and you wonder, is today the day I'm going to be hijacked?
Do you think it'll make for better flying?
It'll make for safer flying for the pilot as well as the flying public.
We think it's real serious. You see, just in our state alone, in a year's time, you'll have 40 to 50,000 automobiles stolen. And with the price of automobiles today, this, of course, involves a tremendous amount of money.
What do law enforcement officers need? The one thing that could help them stop this?
Well, when we're working with organized crime in any respect, I think that information is a must if you're going to do a very efficient job. And one of the best ways that we can get help now to get better information and accurate information, and this would be particularly true on such activities as bookmaking and gambling, would be electronic surveillance statute. Now, we in law enforcement would not ask the legislature to provide just an open policy to where anybody could tap anybody's line at all. It would have to be based on probable cause with the approval of a district attorney and a district judge.
Well, I don't think so. I think that you always get excited at draft time, and then you have a letdown in July when some of them come to training camp. About 2 years from now, you can always you can look back and find out how good a draft it was by how many people are playing on your team and if you're winning with those people.
A gentleman from Overseas Motor, Mr. Jim Fraser, came through first. So we hope that we have other citizens who want to come in and give us a little help out on this program.
What do you think the hopes are of getting a championship fighter in any category in the Golden Gloves tournament?
Jim, it looked real good. We got one young man came in to me today. He's 16 years old and he had about 9 fights and he's sure promising to become a champion.
Of course, this gives the boys an opportunity to work off a lot of excess energy too, doesn't it?
It sure does, Jim. These boys that come down to work with us, they're really energetic and they want to work real hard, but after we work with them, as you can see, what's going on now, when they leave the gym, they're dead tired.
Ms. Steinem, in your article on sisterhood.
Because titles are kind of, we only need MS so that when we have to indicate a female, we don't have to say married or unmarried.
Great. Gloria, in your article on sisterhood, you refer to Uncle Tomism in women. Could you define what an Uncle Tom is?
Sure, it's somebody who shuffles and giggles and says, how clever of you to know what time it is, and, pretends, it's very challenging for a woman to admit she's smart in this society and to admit she has ambition.
Well, hello, Elwood. How are you on this very special day of yours? Are you aware of the Cannonball Rental Company's 5th annual coloring contest dedicated just to you, Elwood? And now the big question of the day, Elwood. What is your weather forecast for the next 6 weeks? Well, thank you, Elwood. We appreciate your time today. You see there, Jack Van Roy? Your job's done for the next 4 weeks. Jerry Park, Channel 8 News on the move, along with Elwood at the Marcellus Zoo.
Rather than continue the speculation, let me state at this time that I am a candidate for Congress in the new 3rd Congressional District.
Does the difference in your ages make you feel like a very old man?
I felt like a very young man until I found out a 20-year-old had filed against me. There is about 20 years difference there. And I would have, if elected, I'd be the youngest man on the school board. But with Jerry filing, it makes me feel and makes me seem like maybe that I am the old establishment candidate and running against youth. But of course, this is really not true, and I know that Jerry probably will receive some support from some of the young voters.
The lines to get the plates were relatively short at the beginning of business today. The state got a little more colorful than they have in the past. This year, the plates will feature green letters and numerals on a white background. Officials of the Tax Assessor Collector's Office told me that more and more people are buying the personalized license. 1,000 sets of the plates have been ordered. The messages thereon run from initials and company names to the funnies. From a labor standpoint, workers must process an average of about 15,000 applications a day between now and the deadline date of midnight April 1st. That in itself should be good enough reason to buy early and avoid the last-minute rush. Jerry Park, Channel 8 News, on the move at the Records Building. The lines to get the plates were relatively short at the beginning of business today. The state got a little more colorful than they have in the past. This year, the plates will feature green letters and numerals on a white background. Officials of the Tax Assessor Collector's Office told me that more and more people are buying the personalized license plates, however. This year, some 7,000 sets of the plates have been ordered. The messages thereon run from initials and company names to the funnies. From a labor standpoint, workers must process an average of about 15,000 applications a day between now and the deadline date of midnight April 1st. That in itself should be good enough reason to buy early and avoid the last-minute rush. Jerry Park, Channel 8 News, on the move at the Records Building.
I'll put it this way. It is a movie in which there might be some language, some violence, some hint of sensuality that puts it in between what we call a family picture and a restricted picture. A PG picture is one in which the parent ought to make inquiry before he lets his pre-teenage children see it.
At this time, if the court decision stands, we'll have to make some 68 precinct changes. And of course, every time you make a change, it then could make a change in one of these congressional districts or the state senate line, or it could make that is as far as a precinct goes. Of course, these lines are constant, but each one of these changes will have to then be refigured so that they do conform to these state senate lines, the congressional lines, and the commissioner lines, and the JP lines.
So that'd just be one more thing that we'll have to then take into consideration and refigure each 300 precincts so that they will conform to all the rules and the statutes and all the things that make up an election.
What actually is involved in refiguring all these lines and making out a new ballot?
Well, we take each individual precinct and we see where it comes on the map, and we then number the congressional district that it falls in. Then we number the state senatorial district it falls in. We will add the legislative district now that it will fall in. Then we'll check the commissioner's precinct, and we'll add the justice of peace or St. Constable. So that'll make 5 different things that we'll have to be sure that does conform, and be sure that each candidate, of course, gets his name on the ballot, and that he is allowed, he is on the ballot so that the voter can then either vote for or against the candidate of his choice.
People are upset. They feel like that their right to vote is being taken away by our city council. And one thing that almost everyone commented on is come election time, this city council is going to find out that the people do have a right to vote. We secured enough signatures that it can elect or defeat any member of the city council.
What this means, I presume, is that the administration in Austin and the Secretary of State will have to find some unexpended state funds that they can borrow until the next special session legislature, which could then be reappropriated for that agency that they have to use it from. This is just a guess on my part, but that has happened in emergency situations in the past.
If that happens, will it be a good thing or a bad thing in your opinion?
Well, I think it would be a good thing. At least it'll get us through this primary and let the legislature in regular session next time go through and revise the election code and take care of the constitutional questions.
I recognize that my entry into this race will mark a new experience for the Republican Party in Dallas County, a truly contested congressional primary. I would hope that our party has come of age so that the only issue will be who is the best Republican to serve us in Congress.
I imagine they'll be done just like we've done in any other school and over the years, because we've had problems in school and they're incidental in many cases, and so we try to solve them on a routine basis. We hopefully don't look at a racial situation, because that doesn't exist as far as I'm concerned and as far as our students are concerned. We feel that they relate quite well.
qualities that are supposed to be great in the ruling class are punished.
Do you think the sexual revolution is just one more male ego trip?
Yeah, there's an article in this issue about that by Anselmo Dell'Olio called "The Sexual Revolution Wasn't Our War," and it points out that it really was designed to make more women available to more men without any attention to women's wants, needs, pleasures, anatomy, nothing. So in many ways, women's liberation and the sexual revolution, as we have known it, are antithetical.